The blessing in COVID is that if you still waking up every day, it's because God ain't through with you. See, the moment God through with you, you just ain't waking up no more. So behind every moment of adversity, there's a lesson and a blessing. You just got to hang in there to see what it is. Like COVID for me has been a blessing because I live my life in the expectation that God is doing great things all the time, even in the midst of trial. I just know that I'm going to come out because of my track record. See, your track, all you got to do is look at your life. Y'all be tripping sometimes. Sometimes you trip yourself out. Look at this. How many of y'all, just show me hands if you've had really bad days? Now, let me ask you something. How many of y'all had some days and you ain't think you was going to make it? Now, you want to know something? Your track record for surviving bad, unbearable days, your track record is 100%. So if God done brought you through all of them, why he ain't going to get you through the rest of it? See, once you understand that, you can get on with living. A lot of people, y'all been tripping yourself out. Oh, it's the COVID. I can't go outside. Can't nobody go outside. Y'all stay in the house, learn something. Get connected, get spiritual. You can't go nowhere, talk to God. What? Figure it out. Make something happen for yourself. That's what I did. Man, I had so much good stuff happen to me during the COVID. Got me some rest, lost me a little weight, saved some money, can't go nowhere. My wife quit shopping because she can't go nowhere. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
It's absolutely necessary, and that's why I wrote the book. Because people only see the good part of you. It's like Instagram and Twitter. You never post a bad picture. You know, you pass up all them other pictures, you get that one picture that's got the right angle and the right light, you put that picture up, and then put a filter on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, put a filter on that, lighten it up, change it a little bit, do all that kind of stuff. So we have started to believe the illusion that people who look good on camera and people who do amazing things only had amazing moments. And that's why we have so many haters. Because haters feel like it's not fair for you to have all the good times while I go through all the bad times. But the reality is we go through bad times too.
Come on.
We go through heartache too.
Right.
We go through disappointment. We feel bad. We get depressed. We want to give up. We want to walk away. But there's something down inside of you that keeps pushing you. I feel like
Let's take a few minutes to talk about the importance of knowing yourself enough to be your best cheerleader. You know, when you thought you were doing what you were supposed to do and were misinformed, the times you thought you had it all laid out and it just didn't work, the times when you burned the midnight oil day after day and it didn't seem to help, it didn't seem to change the end result. These are the times that you have to rely on your own self-encouragement. And there are two ways to use self-encouragement. Number one, take responsibility for the missed opportunity or the misrepresentation. Learn from the fact that even though your client wanted it one way and you presented it the right way, it didn't work. Be prepared for the letdowns that happen every so often. Know that this lost opportunity just sets you up better for the next one. Realize that you can make the necessary alterations next time. Make the changes that will make the difference. Study your mistakes and learn from them. Don't dwell on the mistakes. Acknowledge them. Learn from them. Encourage yourself that you're smarter than your bank account leads you to believe. The second way to use self-encouragement, remind yourself that you're bound to get better. Don't get down on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's the next opportunity that matters, not the last one, the next one. Now, the last one matters only in that you must learn from your mistakes. But the next one gives you the opportunity to show that you have learned from your mistakes. You can do it better next time. You just have to practice, practice, practice. Keep trying. Keep trying until what? Until you've got it down. If you figured out what went wrong last time, then you know how to make it right next time. If you figured out what it was in your presentation that didn't work, don't say that next time. If you figured out that the reason you didn't close the deal this time was because you didn't have all the facts and figures in place, have all the facts and figures in place next time. Don't beat yourself for messing up. Pat yourself on the back for figuring it out. You need to encourage yourself. You need to pump yourself up. You need to be your own cheerleader. Why? Because you can't wait and hope that someone else will come along and cheer you up, make you feel better, tell you that you'll do better next time. You have to rely on yourself. You have to have faith in yourself and your ability to figure out what works and what doesn't, what's right and what's wrong. You have to have the inner belief that everything you're doing for a positive outcome in the future. You have to encourage yourself with future successes. Number one way to use self-encouragement: take responsibility for missed opportunities and study your mistakes. Number two, don't get down on yourself. Encourage yourself with your future. Encourage yourself with your goals, your dreams, your ambition. Knowing that you've got a plan. Knowing that you're taking the right steps. Knowing that you're going to do it until. When you miss an opportunity, are unprepared for an opportunity, or suffer a setback while realizing your goals, when you miss out, you need to encourage yourself by immediately getting back into line. There's an old cowboy saying, fall off a horse 7 times, and you're a real cowboy. If you fall off a horse, get right back on. If you fall off track, get right back on. If you fall away from your disciplines, get right back to them. If you fall out of habit, get back into the habit. If you fall off, get back on. If you fall off the horse of habits or disciplines or progress. If you fall off the horse, get back on. It may be hard, may be a bit frightening, but get back on. Keep your ambition alive and active and well. We must all suffer one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you don't spend an ounce of discipline, you'll most likely suffer tons of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. It's much easier to be disciplined and have the money than to try to rationalize why you don't. I'm telling you, better a few disciplines than a lack of dignity. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Don't wish for it to change out there. Develop yourself to the point that you can truly and totally rely on yourself.
Doing something that you don't find challenging, that does not make you stretch mentally, that does not stimulate you, that does not inspire you. Something that you don't find a sense of fulfillment in it. If you're doing that day in and day out, it has to affect how you feel about yourself, your level of motivation. Your relationships. What kind of impact is it having on your life? Is it nourishing or is it a toxic relationship? Does it drain you or does it build you up? Ask yourself that. How motivated are you to do something about it? Your contribution, your actions. What are you giving? Many people will leave the universe without a trace. No one will know they were here. And in fact, under their name, we could put under there, not used up. Will anybody know that you came this way? What contribution are you giving? What will you leave? What will be different because you came this way? Someone once said that life is our gift to us, that God has given us, and how we live our lives is our gift to God. What kind of gift are you formulating? Is this a gift that you like to take back and do something else before you turn it in? Think about that. What can we do? What are some of the keys that we can begin to use to motivate ourselves when our batteries run low? Because I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, at some time you are going to get tired. At some time you're going to get in a rut. Seem like nothing you do works out right. And sometimes it just seems like you just don't have the wherewithal or the will to do anything. That sometimes you act like you're punch drunk. You're just wading through life, just doing time day in and day out, looking at non-discriminatory television, anything that's on, just looking. And depressed, feeling powerless, feeling useless, and bored. What do you do? How do you get yourself out of a rut? How do you, when you know you can do more than what you've been doing and you're not doing it and you're discontent with where you are, you get angry at yourself. How do you get out of that rut? How do you motivate yourself? One of the things that we must do is that we must be involved in working on achieving self-mastery. You must work on yourself continuously. Never be satisfied with yourself. Always know that as you invest the effort and time on you, that's the greatest ability that human beings have above animals. See, a dog can't be anything but a dog. Tree can't be anything but a tree. Human being, you've got unlimited potential. You can put effort on you, and by concentrating on you and developing you, you can transform your life wherever you are right now. So you want to work on yourself. You want to read books that inspire you and motivate you. You want to listen to tapes over and over and over again. And I suggest that you listen to tapes when you first get up in the morning. You want to control the spirit of your day. When you first wake up in the morning, your mind is operating at 10.5 wave cycles per second. That's when the subconscious mind is most impressionable. Whatever you hear in the first 20 minutes when you wake up, that will affect the spirit of your day. When you listen to tapes, listen with relaxed belief, believing that this can happen for you. And by listening to them, listen to them over and over and over again, and you will get a breakthrough. You can listen to the same tape for months, and all of a sudden you hear something you never heard before. It'll have a special meaning for you. Or read the same book over again, and you find some special insight. You said, I can't believe I didn't see that the first time. So you want to be involved in developing yourself. Most people won't do that. Most people won't take that kind of effort and invest that kind of energy in themselves, because they will fall prey to that conversation within. Oh, don't do that. You don't have time. You're too busy. You're too caught up in the rat race. Most people won't do that. Well, they won't take time to go to lectures. They won't take time to go to seminars. They won't take time to go to classes to improve themselves. And as you continue to work on yourself, you will begin to expand your vision of yourself. You'll begin to work towards self-mastery. And you will begin to see it reflect itself in all the dimensions of your life, your mental life, your physical life, your social life, in your relationships, your monetary life. So concentrate on developing yourself.
Final rule. It's called pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And it's the most personal chapter in the book. It's a lot about my daughter. And my daughter was very ill when she was a kid, but particularly when she was a teenager. She had a very terrible time of it. She had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and when she was between the ages of 14 and 16, it first destroyed her hip, which had to be replaced, and then it destroyed the ankle on her other leg, which had to be replaced. And she walked around for 2 years on broken legs, and she was taking massive doses of opiates and could hardly stay awake, and she had this advanced autoimmune disease, which produced all sorts of other symptoms that were just as bad as the joint degeneration, but which are harder to describe. And so it's just bloody brutal. You know, and as a test of your faith, there's almost nothing that's more direct than a serious illness inflicted upon an innocent child, right? And so the chapter's a meditation on that, and also on, well, what to do in a situation like that, because everyone is going to have a situation like that in some sense, you know, because you'll be faced with illness in the people that you love and in crisis. And so it's a practical guide to coping with those sorts of things. Like, and one of the things you do when you're overwhelmed by crisis is you shorten your time frame. You know, it's like you can't think about next month. Maybe you can't even bloody well think about next week, or maybe not even tomorrow. You know, because now is just so overwhelming that that's all there is. It's like, and that's what you do. You cut your time frame back until you can cope with it. And if it's not the next week that you see how to get through, then it's the next day. And if it's not the next day, then it's the next hour. And if it's not the next hour, then it's the next minute. And you know, people are very, 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 very tough. And it turns out that if you face things that you can put up with a lot more than you think you can put up with, and you can do it without becoming corrupted. And she did recover quite fully, and much as a consequence of her own machinations, because she figured out what was wrong with her and then took the necessary steps to fix it, which is nothing short of a bloody miracle as far as I'm concerned. And anyways, part of the cat bit is I actually started by talking about our dog, who actually died about a year ago, but he's still alive in the book. You know, I let people know, because dog lovers love dogs, and if you love cats, then they think you don't like dogs, and then they don't like you. So I also point out at the beginning of the chapter that, you know, if you want to pet a dog on the street, that's okay too, so you don't have to get up in arms about it. But the idea is that, you know, you have to be alert when you're suffering. You have to be alert to the beauty in life, the unexpected beauty in life. And that's kind of what I was trying to get across with the idea of the cat. There's this cat that lives across the street from us called Ginger, and Ginger's a Siamese cat. And cats really aren't domesticated, technically speaking. They're still wild animals, but they kind of like people. God only knows why, but they do, you know. And so Ginger will come wandering over, and our dog looks at her, but they're friends, and she rolls over on his back, and Seiko used to, you know, nose her a bit. And then she'd kind of mosey over and let you pet her if she was feeling like it that day. And, you know, you have to look for that little bit of sparkling crystal in the darkness when things are bad. You have to look and see where things are still beautiful and where there's still something that's sustaining. You know, you narrow your time frame and you be grateful for what you have, and that can get you through some very dark times. And maybe even successfully if you're lucky. But even if unsuccessfully, then maybe it's only tragic and not absolute hell. And you can do that, you know, in the worst situation. You can make it only tragic and not hell. And there's a big gap between tragedy and hell. You know, there's nothing worse at a deathbed than to see the people there fighting. The death is bad enough, but you can take that, as terrible as it is, and make it into something that's absolutely unbearable. And maybe I think, and this is sort of what I closed the book with, is this idea is that if we didn't all attempt to make terrible things even worse than they are, then maybe we could tolerate the terrible things that we have to put up with in order to exist. And maybe we could make the world into a better place, you know, and it's what we should be doing and what we could be doing because we don't have anything better to do. And that's what the book is about. And that's the end of 12 Rules for Life.
I'm wondering today who's watching, who's facing real disappointment, real pain, real discouragement, real confusion, real hurt, real wondering, when is my purpose going to pick up? When am I going to actually discover why on earth I'm here?
Your values in life determine your stress, determine your success, and determine your salvation. Unclear values cause confusion. They cause confusion in your life. Conflicting values in your life cause tension. Unclear cause confusion. Conflicting values cause tension. False values create deception. And the wrong values create dysfunction.
A bad attitude makes you unattractive. It overrides what's on the outside. It's important to look good, to develop your skills, to get an education, but it's even more important to keep a good attitude.
Like attracts like. You have to understand, you are a magnet. Whatever you are, that's what you draw to you. If you're negative, you're going to draw negativity. You're positive, you draw positive. You're a kind person, more people are kind to you. So you're like a magnet, you know, and you got to understand something about like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Live like a warrior so you can die like a legend. Let us fight and fight and don't surrender. Gotta fight. Gotta live like a warrior. You gotta be in fight mode. Warriors are vigilant. My favorite book says, watch as well as pray. Yeah, you got to watch. You don't want to go to sleep at the wheel. You got to watch. You don't want to get caught up in the hoopla. Oh, get it done in 21. Yeah, you have the power to get it done in 21, but you got to watch what's going on.
Your attitude is going to determine your altitude. It will determine how high or how low you go. Well, Joel, I've always been kind of negative, critical, condescending. That's just who I am. No, that's who you're choosing to be. That's not who you are. That may be how you were raised, but that's not how you have to stay. Try being kind, friendly, good-natured. You'll not only enjoy life more, but you'll go further.
So forget what can't be changed and focus on the future. Until you learn to do this, you're going to be unhappy much of your life. Because you hold on to the habits, and you hold on to the hurts and the hang-ups, and you hold on to the grief and the guilt and the grudges, and that causes so much unhappiness in your life. You got to let it go.
Disappointment happens for a whole lot of different reasons. Yet I think the most basic way that we could define how a disappointment takes place is disappointment is birthed from unmet expectations. Just because you're facing a disappointment today doesn't mean that you have to live defeated. It doesn't have to let you believe that your whole entire destiny is delayed and will never ever be reached. No, life is gonna have highs and lows, peaks and troughs.
So many people overlook this very simple quality. You don't have to figure it out. That's what freezes people. When you're trying to figure out your life all the way to the end, when you can't figure it out, it freezes you from trying it because you go, oh, well, I can't figure that out. Oh, I can't go over there because I don't know how. You don't have to know how. You have to ask, believe, and receive.
And sometimes we're discouraged over what we brought on ourselves. It's not the enemy, it's our attitude. The good news is, all you have to do is make an attitude adjustment. It's not complicated. You can't change other people. You can't change how you were raised. A lot in life we can't control. But one thing we can all control is our attitude.
And be vigilant, because it's a new place, a new strategy. Stuff's going on. Some we're aware of. A lot of it we don't know. And we got to stay in fight mode. Why? You know why I have my pictures of my children there? It's not about, I'm 75. I know I got more yesterdays than tomorrows. I got to stay in fight mode. What? I'm going to finish strong.
Are you focusing all your energies? You have a limited amount of energy. You don't have unlimited energy. Since you don't have unlimited energy, I highly suggest you don't waste any of it on something that you can't change in the past. Why in the world would you give one more second of emotional energy to something that is never going to change? It's done, it's over, it's finished. Your past is past. You got to let it go.
When you're good-natured, friendly, opportunity will come your way. People want to do business with people that they like.
Maybe it's not some other person you're disappointed. Maybe it's yourself. This is something that I struggle with in quite a massive way. Is that usually most of my disappointments aren't because of other people. Most of my disappointments in life are because of me. I tend to disappoint myself more than anybody else disappoints me. I tend to not live up to my own expectations, to my own standards, to my own values, and I find myself often beating myself up or talking down to myself, and I can find myself at times living in a cloud of disappointment that has nothing to do with anybody else. It has everything to do with the way that I look at myself.
It's a major key that most people shy away from. And this is not for everybody. This is not for the faint at heart. People who have no goals and no dreams and okay with living a small life. Don't get anything done with the same mindset, the same relationships, the same vision, no direction, no purpose. They're okay with that.
Am I going to live this day negative, sour, seeing the wrong, chip on my shoulder, or am I going to live it in faith, positive, hopeful, seeing the best, being good to people? This is a choice that we have to make every day. If you're going to have a good attitude, you have to do it on purpose, because there will be all kinds of negative things that try to creep in. If you're not proactive, if you don't choose the right attitude, then the wrong attitude will show up.
Everything about this life has created a sense of urgency, and everybody has been scattered. And that's what I believe is happening right now. This is when survival instincts kicks in. This is when it's real. This is when it's about you, your survival instincts, and God.
If you have people in your life who are occupying your time for their self-benefit, you should erase them from your life. Get away from people in your life that's hating. Get away from your family members that ain't ever opened a business. Get away from your family members that ain't ever followed their dream. Get away from your family members that ain't never been nowhere but to the family reunion. They ain't never been to a beach. Get away from them. Get away from them. I had to do it. Everybody has had a seasonal friend. My father had third grade education. You know what he used to tell me all the time? Everybody come with you, can't go with you. That's a cold lesson to learn in life, man. Everybody come with you, can't go with you. There's some people that can go with you just to a certain point. And the moment you try to elevate, you're gonna start losing some people. Everybody ain't happy for you opening your boutique. Oh, she thinks she is gonna open up a damn store. I ain't buying none of that. I ain't telling nobody about it. It's called jealousy. It's a more modern term. They're called haters. Yeah.
Don't be fooled by all that fake love. Don't be fooled by their phony smiles, their hugs, their I love yous. Snakes in the grass. Snakes in the grass slithering. I hear them coming a mile away. I can smell them, I can sniff them, I can see them, I can taste them. But some of you get blinded by them. Yeah. Your so-called friends, your so-called homies, your so-called partners, your so-called girls, they deserve an Academy Award for the best actors, the best actresses of the year, because they can put it all. They there for you when everything's great. They there for you when everything is wonderful. They're there for you when you balling. They're there for you when you rolling. They there for you when you treating. They there for you when you got money. They're excited, girl, we gonna do this, man, bro, where we going tonight? Y'all out to eat. Oh, I forgot my wallet. Looking for you to pay. Say, no, you got it. The sad story is that when you up, they all riding with you. When you down, ain't nobody in the car but you. They act like they got love for you, but only because it benefits them. I don't know how many different ways I can say this. Just because they are in the car with you does not mean that they are riding for you. So many of us have to learn this the hard way. Situation where you've poured into this person. You have nothing but their best interest in your heart. And then when the shoe is on the other foot, they don't even want to talk to you. They act like they got love for you. Have your friends, have your family, have your relationships, but make sure you pay close attention to the circle, to your company that you keep. Because when you need them the most, I promise you, they will turn your back on you. You need to find you a group of friends, and y'all need to make a pact, and y'all need to keep that pact. And you need to know in your heart of hearts that if you down, they gonna pull you up. And if they down, you gonna pull them up. So have your friends, have your family, have your relationships, but make sure you stay woke. I call them halftime homies, because half the time they smiling in your face. Half the time they want to take your place. Remove and eliminate those halftime homies from your circle.
They are for what you are for. They are your constituents. And as long as you are for what they are for, they will walk with you and work with you and labor with you, but never think that they are for you. They are for what you are for. And you have to know that, because if they meet somebody else that will further their agenda, they will leave you and hook up with them, because they were never for you. They were just for what you were for. They are your constituents. And throughout your life, if you're not careful, particularly if you're broken, you will mistake your constituents for your confidants. And you will think that they are for you, when they are really not for you. They are just for what you are for. And by the time you get through falling in love with them, they will break your heart as they hook up with somebody else who is for what you are for, because it was never about you anyway. It was about the causes that you represent. They are for what you are for, but they are not for you.
Here's how you know if someone's your friend. A, you can tell them bad news, and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you and how something worse happened to them once and, derail the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. So that's a good thing. And then this is a weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you, because if you have someone around you, something good happens to you, and you're kind of afraid to even admit it because, God, something good happened to you. It's like, you let that be known and it'll certainly be taken away. So, you come out and you sort of tell someone half-heartedly that something good happened to you, and they give you a whack and then talk about, the great thing that happened to them 3 years ago, or worse, the great thing that happened to someone that they knew 3 years ago. It's like, go away from that person. They're not helpful to you, and they're not helpful to themselves either. And so you want to surround yourself. You got to think about this. You got to surround yourself with people who want the best for the best part of you. You can hang around with weasels and losers that are trying to pull you down to justify the fact that they're spiraling downhill as well. And the upside of that is you don't have to have any responsibility, and you can all whine about how wretched life is, so that's pretty attractive. But I would say it's also a bad medium to long-term plan. And so it's acceptable and desirable to try to surround yourself with people who are facilitating your development. And you might say, well, I've got people around, I know them well, they're not doing that well, and they don't fit into that category. It's like, what's your point? What are you going to do with them exactly? If they'll listen and cooperate with you and move towards a better future, great. If they don't pay any attention and they keep doing the same damn things over and over and they're not going anywhere and it's painful, then maybe the proper thing to do is say, you just have your misery. I'll go off and have my life. And maybe you'll wake up at some point in the future and think that's a better way of being. Because just putting up with it is, well, they call that enabling, right? You put up with that sort of behavior, you're providing tacit consent for it and even tacit approval. It's like, it's a bad idea. You have, I would say, both the right and the responsibility to surround yourself with people who are good for the best part of you.
The third group are your comrades. These people are not for you, nor are they for what you are for. It is just that they are against what you are against. And the comrades will make strange bedfellows. This will cause people to come together who are not for you, and they are not for what you are for, but they are against what you are against. And they will team up with you to help fight a greater enemy. But don't be confused by their associations. They will only be with you until the victory is accomplished. These people are like scaffolding. They come into your life to fulfill a purpose, and when the purpose is complete, the scaffolding is removed. But don't be upset when they are removed, because the building always remains when the scaffolding is removed. What I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, expect the constituents and the comrades to leave you and desert you after a while. Don't be upset when they don't react to your dream the way you expected them to, because they were never really with you in the first place. Be careful then who you tell your dream to, because if you tell your dream to your constituents, they will desert you and try to fulfill the dream without you. If you tell it to your comrades, they won't support it because they never were for what you were for anyway. If you find a few people in your entire life with whom you can share your dream with, you are a blessed somebody. I can tell you how to identify people who are really for you. If they are really for you, they will weep with you when you weep, and they will rejoice when you rejoice. When you walk in a room and you tell somebody good news, stop being happy for a minute and watch their reaction. If they're not happy for you, shut your mouth and walk back out of the door. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying to you. Oh, yeah, because when they are really connected to you, they will be happy for you when you share your dream. Find somebody, look them in the eye and say, are you happy for me? If you don't get the right reaction, don't tell them anything else. You need somebody who's really going to be happy for you. I don't want just anybody praying for me. I don't want none of them haters praying for me, because you know you hate me and you don't want me to succeed. I want somebody praying for me who really wants me to be blessed, who wants me to be an overcomer, so you can put up your oil and stop speaking in tongues, because you know you never did speak to me anyway, and ain't no need in you coming up here in this hospital like you gonna pray some cancer up off of me. I'd rather have somebody who really loves me lay across the bed and rebuke the devil. And God is so faithful, he'll always give you somebody. Oh, if he ever sent anybody into your life to help you, you ought to just clap your hands and thank him for the people he sent. Don't worry about the people he took. You ought to praise him for the people he sent.
Tonight, I don't know where you're at on this journey. And I don't know what life looks like for you right now. But I know this: if you're ever going to be who God's called you to be, it's going to require confidence. And if you've lost it, you got to find it. And if you've misplaced it, you got to get it back.
You're not the nut you used to be, but you're not the tree you're gonna be. But until you learn how to appreciate where you are in the process, you won't get the power to evolve to your ultimate destiny.
When you do discover a cause worth dying for, and you do realize it's worth living for, how many know it's worth giving for, it's worth working for, it's worth sacrificing for? But what I've learned is that if you don't have confidence, you'll never walk out your cause.
You're so busy starving the sapling trying to get to the tree that you cancel out the potential of being a tree because you don't feed where you are. You're in love with tomorrow, but you're neglecting today. Until you are faithful over the few, you cannot be ruler over the many. So you need to take your eye off of the tree and water what you got now.
You're going to get what you focus on. What you focus on gets larger and larger in your life. It grows. It's like if you look at what's wrong with your life, you can actually get to the point where you just hate your life.
There's a lot of destruction going on in the world right now. There's a lot of loss happening in the world right now. And I've actually been through a lot of chaos, and I've been through a lot of destruction. And one thing that I've learned is I learned that I had to keep my emotions in check. And that's the same thing I tell other people when they're going through trying times. And that does not mean that you're not going to have emotions. But by keeping your emotions in check, I mean don't make decisions based on your emotions. They're going to lead to a bad place. Don't let that happen. Instead, if you feel yourself getting emotional, take a step back. Detach. Look around. Think about the long-term implications of the decisions that you're making, and make your decisions based on logic and based on reason and based on long-term outcomes.
Go ahead and work on your level. Go ahead and master where you are. And after a while, without you even trying to do it, where you started will turn into where you're going. That's what destiny is pulling you into. From the rehearsal to the recital, once you have mastered it, whether the recital is business, marriage, accounting firms, real estate development, family, whatever your recital is, once you have maximized it, you get to sit with the masters.
So the key to your life is finding a vision that imposes discipline on you. In essence, vision is the source of discipline. Discipline is the root of leadership. It actually is the very nature that attracts people to you. A disciplined person naturally begins to attract people because people admire discipline in other people. That's why we go to see athletes perform. We really admire the discipline that they put themselves through. If you do the same thing as a person, people will then begin to believe what you say. Your very life of discipline creates trust. People trust a person who they perceive to be disciplined.
Ask yourself truthfully, your big goals and dreams, are you really clear on what they are? Because if you don't have that, we can't even get started. You know how mandatory it is to be clear and specific for what you want, right? Can you get laser obsessively focused almost to its exclusivity, almost, but for an extended period of time?
That if you want it, you gotta go get it. Some of y'all got this concept of what you want. You know, some of y'all are motivated by broke. Just wanting to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Other folks are motivated by materialistic things. It's a very simple concept. If you want it, you gotta go get it.
You've got creativeness in you. If you decide to take the initiative to change the current quality of your life, I say to you that you will find that the universe is on your side. Now, will it be turbulent? Yes. Will it be easy? No, no. Will I make a lot of mistakes? Yes. See, a lot of people won't try anything different in life because they don't want to get hurt.
You got to get focused, man. You got to understand that this hard time that you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. Every trial and tribulation you go through prepares you for the life God has for you.
What do you think about? What is your dream? You want a larger life, and that you're going to get a breakthrough, that things are going to be better for you, that you're willing to work on you. You're learning how to live life now.
It was my philosophy that changed. The set of the sail of better thinking, correcting the errors of the past and picking up new disciplines for the future. That's all I had to do at the end of the first 6. And my total life changed. The second 6 years was totally different than the first 6 of my working life.
If you're stuck in a story. There's a story you're telling yourself that doesn't serve you anymore. And you have to evaluate what that story is. But what you need to do is you need to alter your associations. You need to do something in a short window of time, no question about it. You definitely need to evaluate what is no longer needed and evaluate the story you're telling yourself.
What's your philosophy of life? What are your beliefs, things that you feel very strongly about? What are some of the things that you have picked up along the way that you've been doing them for so long you think that they're you, that you need to begin to re-examine them and perhaps get them out of your life? See, a lot of things we're doing, we do unconsciously because we picked it up somewhere in life.
If you're weary with smallness and you're tired all the time and you can't focus, what are you going to do with greatness? You're asking for more and you haven't mastered less.
What you do while you are in this world will determine forever where you spend forever.
Everything you ever thought you would not make it through, you got past it. Now, if you're currently going through something right now, guess what? You're going to get past that too. It always works that way. You always do.
Everything that happens to you in your life, whether it's a trauma, whether it's a disease, whether it's somebody treating you in a certain way, there's a lesson in all of it. No limit people understand the lesson in life and therefore celebrate the lessons.
See, a lot of times we allow ourselves to be fed and to be programmed and to being afraid. I mean, you watch the news and read the newspaper, you'd be scared to come out the house. So what kinds of things, what kinds of thoughts are you feeding your consciousness? What kind of things are you putting in your mind that will enable you to either move forward or to justify why you're staying where you are?
We have many areas to improve on. In every area we need to learn. We are not the greatest. We need to grow. We need to expand. And I'm not talking about numbers. I want to make sure we're really clear about that. I'm not talking about numbers at all. I'm talking about within. Some of you, you need to grow from within. Growing is not the mission. Growing is not the goal. Us being healthy, that's the goal. And it just turns out that healthy things grow.
And my point to you is if you don't have a goal, if you don't have something that keeps you sharp and focused, if you don't have challenges, you won't stay alive. You could drop into a pile of dust pretty quick if you don't have I don't care how old you are. I don't care who you are. You need a dream.
And when you get to that point in your life where you're not cursing the things that come your way and blaming the things that come your way, and particularly blaming it on somebody else. And you hear it all the time. She hurt my feelings. How's that possible? How can anybody hurt your feelings? Your feelings come from your thoughts. No one can hurt your feelings without your consent. No one can embarrass you without your consent. These are choices that you have that come from the way that you think.
I am going to be curious about myself. I am going to make it my mission every day to wake up and discover a new version of me. I'm going to make it my mission to explore the far corners of myself, just to see what's there, because I want to know what else is in me. You know, you've got to be curious about yourself. And that's the attitude to have if you want to get more out of this life.
I used to try to change everything. You can hang apples on a pear tree. I'm telling you, it won't help. You can put up a sign, this is an apple tree. Sure enough, come the season, pears. Here's what I learned. You cannot change people, but they can change themselves. It's your skills that buy you a future. Money and no skills, and I'm telling you, you're still poor. Money and no courage, you're broke.
You know your strengths. You know your dreams. You know your heart. So why don't you sit down and reflect for a moment and ask yourself, what do I really want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet? Get in your area, in your space, and say, I need to challenge me, because here's what I feel and here's what I believe. When you challenge yourself, you're challenging yourself in an area that is close to your heart, and it's who you are.
Accept the challenge, because you can't grow without a challenge. You can't get rich without a challenge. You have to understand the challenge. But that's the key, is to now develop wisdom to overcome the challenge. Don't wish for less challenge, but more wisdom. You can do the most remarkable things no matter what happens. Humans can do the most remarkable things no matter what happens.
Just being aware of the concept will put you light years ahead of 99.9% of the people. Just awareness of the power of identity. Just now you knowing about the thermostat puts you in the 0.1% of all the people on the spinning earth right now.
There are three kinds of people. There are people who make things happen, people that watch things happen, and people that don't know what happened. That's the majority. Hoping that somebody with mercy and pity will look in their direction. No! Hey, listen here. You've been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth. Listen to me. Be willing to learn something. Keep moving in the direction of where you want to go. Continue to fall forward.
One of the things I'm suggesting you look at, what is it that you need to be in the process of doing more of or less of? Like being more direct, saying no without feeling guilty, more focused. 1 year I decided to do one thing well. I looked at all of my talents and I decided the strongest one, my ability as a speaker, that's the one I'm going to focus on. But only when I decided to focus did I begin to reap the rewards of my talent.
As we get older as persons and as businesses, we have a tendency to want to cling to the old, to be suspicious of anything new and exciting. This is a successful way of doing things. Let's stay with it. Let's hang on to what we've got and ride out a future we can't be sure of. But this attitude, in many ways, can only lead to decline and eventual failure. This is a turning of the back to life, and it's something life won't stand for. To grow, we must let go.
See, when you get to a certain place, when you're willing to risk, you're not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, what else is there? Yet many of you have been working on jobs. That is not you. Why do you do it? Oh, to pay the bills. But you've gotten to a point where that's not enough.
People telling you, hey, you can't do this, that doesn't matter. You have no idea what's possible for you, and because you don't even know what's possible for you, they have no clue what's possible for you. So you've got to keep going and keep pushing. There's some pain involved, but you got to go past the pain, and I'm telling you what's on the other end is more rewarding than anything you can think about right now. All right? So you got to go in there, take that attitude with you. This might be the day. This might be the day.